All right. Can everyone hear me? Okay, I think the audio is good on my side. Oh, 5 likes even before it began? Wow. Thank you guys. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so as I've stated in the chat room before we began the stream here, I said that you guys should be ready to listen to some critical and crucial information, and make sure to always read the description box as well. Let's bring the music down a little bit too. Okay, so based on the description box and what I've stated there, we are going to talk about the Chinese markets, as it says with the title, as it says with the thumbnail of this live stream as well. Now, I specifically said that I think Chinese tickers, or overall the overall Chinese market should have a widespread rally into the end of this year, and why it can be a big focus for US equity traders in Q1 of fiscal year 2026. And I'm also going to go over today's swing trade that we took on earlier this morning in the CFO Discord, a private CFO Discord community, and the reason why I've chosen ticker symbol BIDU or Baidu to talk about in last night's email that I sent. Again, for last week and this week, I haven't sent out the reports because, again, there really isn't too much to look at the markets other than just focusing on the overall market action and looking at the VIX. And you really don't want to be trading and just causing mental distress and mental weakness, right? Due to the low volatility and low volume, and trying to trade the tape when it's just absolutely literally dead is not something that you should be doing if you want to conserve your mental energy, mental capacity to be able to actively trade, and basically to conserve your capital and your cash and your well-earned profits, right? So one second, guys. Let me see. Okay, perfect. So with that being said, okay, I want to go over the Chinese market and give you guys kind of my own reason why I think it has a lot of potential into the end of this year and into the first quarter of 2026. So let's first begin with, hey, hi bye 007, when Baba will move up. Yeah, I will go over Baba as well. So that is the second ticker that I'll be going over, as said in the description box. So we'll first talk about BIDU, BABA, and then JD. Okay, so first of all, as I was saying earlier, when it comes to the Chinese markets, the number one thing that I've always pointed out for the Chinese markets is that, well, first of all, I pointed this out since last year, since I've been talking about, trying to see the longer term vision for Chinese markets and Chinese tickers that trade in the US equity markets, so the ADR class, right? So I've always stated that Chinese tickers tend to get a little bit more attention, a bit more volume, and a bit more bullish sentiment whenever we see US equity markets pulling back or just not doing anything, right? So there's kind of an inverse relationship. There's not a direct correlation, but there could be a little bit of almost of a, it's not even a causal relationship to it. It's just like, it's just something that happens from time to time, right? Sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't happen, but when we do see the markets, the US equity markets specifically moving sideways or just showing no volume, right? We tend to see traders and even Wall Street focusing on international markets and just overall tickers that aren't much related to the US equity markets. And we tend, and all of us, we tend to go towards and gravitate towards Chinese markets, even though more recently we've been gravitating a lot more towards South Korean markets, Southeastern Asian countries like Singapore, Malaysia, right? and countries like Japan, right, for example. And I've also written about this as well in the email last night to my CFO String and Watch Report readers. I specifically stated that it seems like Wall Street and big money institutional active money managers are starting to increasingly focus on emerging markets and overall international markets heading into fiscal year of 2026. Now, I specifically gave 2 examples. First of all, Warren Buffett, right, a legendary investor, he has put on a wide variety of his cash into different Japanese companies since I think 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm sure he's done a lot of reading and analysis himself back in 2018, and then he decided to finally pull the trigger to put a lot of money across these different big major companies that are based in Japan. And more recently, the second example that I gave was Stanley Druckenmiller, right? He straight up built the 10th largest position by buying ticker symbol EEM. Okay, so if you guys didn't know what this is the Emerging Markets ETF. I've also given this chart out to my readers in that email on Sunday night, so yesterday night. And this one is also looking very, very interesting. And guess what? I believe EEM has the biggest exposure in Chinese markets and South Korean markets as well, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I read that last year too, when I took a look at EEM. But if I'm mistaken, guys, my apologies. I don't know if there's a rebalancing on this ETF. Maybe it changed, but I'm pretty sure China and South Korea are one of the major top holdings as well for EEM. Okay, so with that being said, hey, welcome guys. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below. But again, first of all, guys, before I move on here, I'm glad that I'm back with streaming here. It was a nice little break, and I'm really glad to see you guys here. Now, you guys clearly are excited to be back with these likes before we even began the stream. Okay, so with all that being said, right, Chinese markets currently right now are consolidating, and they have been consolidating for quite some time. I mean, if you just take a look at the Hang Seng Index futures here, ticker symbol HSI, we've been coiling for all of quarter 4 here. And obviously the Chinese markets have been really on a tear, right? On a tear since last year. When it comes to individual Chinese tech stocks like ticker symbol BIDU, so now this is a great segue into what I want to talk about first tonight regarding tickers here. BIDU looks eerily similar to HSI, which makes sense, right? And Baidu here has been making a massive base, and just like with every other lagging Chinese tickers, especially the lagging Chinese tech tickers, they broke out in late quarter 3, so around late August all the way up into September. And September was that massive rally, right? We saw a lot of the media and a lot of people online retail traders talking about this huge breakout. And after this breakout occurred in September, we kind of topped out as we turned towards quarter 4. And since quarter 4 began, we've just been consolidating. And Baidu here, BIDU, has looked extremely bullish, because unlike the other major tech tickers and its peers like Baba, right? It looks a lot better, right? First of all, on Baidu here, on the daily time frame, it's still staying above all of the major daily SMA, right? And again, if you guys don't know what my SMAs are, it's my 10, this red line here, 21, my light blue line, and then my 50, my dark blue line, and then the 200, my yellow line, right? These are my daily SMAs. So it looks extremely great, right? This is what we want to see, where the price is coiling, right? The candlesticks itself are coiling, or the candlesticks themselves are coiling with my SMAs, my multiple SMAs on the daily time frame. And it's still staying above the daily 200 SMA, which it rapidly moved away from during that larger breakout at the last month of quarter 3. So if you take a look at the weekly time frame now, right, you can clearly see that even on the weekly time frame, this entire quarter worth of consolidation has allowed the price to continuously stay above all of my weekly SMAs as well. And one key technical indication here is that there is the one key technical indication that there is a bearish to bullish reversal on all the higher time frame charts is that we're seeing the candlesticks and the price staying above the weekly 200 SMA, right? So this massive move up that they resulted with massive volume to back up the move ended up with the price staying above this weekly 200 SMA. That has been a huge caveat to this stock ever since it broke below it twice back in 2018 when we had that massive market sell-off from 2018 to 2019, right in between the transition from 2018 to 2019, and then also a second time when we had that overall bear market that began late 2021 all the way up into 2022, right? But since then, BIDU has been failing to get back over this weekly 200 SMA. So there is clearly a regime change here, and a trend change, complete reversal of momentum as well on the overall time frame. And with this price staying over this weekly 200 SMA, again, this yellow line clearly indicates to me that there is a lot of longer term investors that are still holding on to BIDU. And hi bye 007, you said Kathy bought Baidu at 150 and oh, are we back now? Oh, I think we had a little hiccup there in the stream. Hopefully we are back. Okay, we're back. So Kathy, you said Kathy bought Baidu at 150 and Bob at 190. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure Kathy will most likely try to exit around 150 and 190. At 150 for Baidu and 190 for Baba. So we'll have to see. But yeah. So with BIDU, that's kind of the reason why I wanted to look at BIDU, because it is one of the strongest Chinese tech stocks out there. I mean, I looked at PDD, which isn't looking too good, right? From a high, all the bigger picture time frames for PDD didn't look good, and Baba as well, right? Alibaba. So BIDU just became my top Chinese ticker to be focused on for just this week. So only one ticker, right? And again, I only chose this ticker for my email that I sent out, very short email. Well, it wasn't really short if you read it, but Baidu was definitely one of the only tickers that we'll be looking at for this week, because again, it's a short week. It's a short trading week. We have the New Year's holiday on Thursday, and most likely on Friday, people aren't really going to be trading too. I mean, we even saw the volume for the overall markets today being very dismal, and it probably wasn't a good idea to try to actively scalp or day trade or whatever, right? During such low volume, right? So, however, okay, Baidu actually ended up being a very active stock today, and the overall Chinese markets were gaining some momentum and bullish fervor, right? And again, what did I say in the beginning of the stream? As I've stated a year ago, I've noticed that the Chinese markets and the US equity markets could at times, at some point in time, have an inverse relationship. Again, there's not really a correlation or a direct correlation or even a causal relationship, right? So there's not really a cause and effect, right? But sometimes we tend to see volume heavily going into the US equity markets when China is down, or vice versa, right? And usually the latter relationship, well, not relationship, but the latter price action, when we tend to see the US equity markets going down or moving sideways or without a lot of volume, we tend to see more volume and more price action and more volatility in the Chinese markets, right? So that's kind of what we're seeing now, as the overall VIX or the S&P 500 volatility index is at historical lows, which I also talked about in the email. So again, if you guys want to read the full email that I sent out to my CFO Single Watch Report readers, make sure you guys become a member of the report, a reader of the report, and you guys can become a reader of the report by looking at the description box down below. Again, just take a look at the description box down below at the very second link that is shown down below. Okay, again, down below, right? So, with BIDU, definitely showed a lot more strength. Why? Well, first of all, a lot of Chinese tickers were down overnight and at pre-market, right? So we saw that weakness at pre-market, and BIDU was one of the few tickers out there. I think there's another ticker as well. I think FUTU. Yeah. So FUTU Holdings here, ticker symbol FUTU, also had some very good relative strength today. But again, we're just looking at BIDU because the overall technical chart compared to every other major Chinese tech stock this one was looking the best, right? And I wanted to just focus on one single best ticker for this very short trading week, and that turned out to be BIDU. So this weakness was immediately followed by a surge in buying at market open, and that buying continued throughout the entire day, like literally the entire day. So if you take a look at the 15-minute time frame, right? So here is the opening candlestick on the 15-minute time frame. So immediate buying from lows, and it immediately in 30 minutes flat, the bulls were able to cover and fully close the gap down that we saw, caused by the bears overnight and caused by the overnight Asian markets, or specifically the Chinese markets from last night. So this move here was clearly an indication that bulls were firmly in charge for the rest of the day, because, well, the second indication that that bulls were in charge was that, well, when we went up to that 125 whole number level, right? This is a key level here on the intraday time frame. Okay, right here. Oops, let's make a nice horizontal level, right? The price actually consolidated, made a very nice bull pennant flag, right? If you guys don't see it, here it is, right? And so this made me want to grab a position. And that's the reason why we grabbed the 130 strike call contract that expires on January 16th, on the monthly expiration date for January. Okay, so again, the 130 strike call contract that expires on January 16th. And thankfully, we were able to hold through the very tight consolidation that occurred on the intraday time frame of the 15-minute time frame here, right above the 125 whole number level. And ultimately, at the last 2 hours of the trading day, it absolutely exploded as bulls saw that, well, they were definitely in control, and more day trading volume and overall long-term traders decided to come in at the same time, and we had this very big surge in volume. And I love the fact that on the 15-minute time frame here, the last 15-minute closing candlestick ended up with another large volume candlestick here as well. Okay, so this bodes well. And how do I know why this bodes well? Well, overnight, right now, if you take a look at the overnight trading for Baidu and the overall Baidu price on the Chinese market, right? Just to look up the Chinese stock price for BIDU, and you guys can see the live market action right now that's occurring right now. But BIDU is up a lot, right? So it's up. I think overnight it almost hit 130, which is my, well, target. That's the reason why I chose the 130 strike call contract that expires on January 16th, because that is the next major resistance level on the daily time frame, right? And obviously after that is 136, as you guys can clearly see here, right? So again, my readers of the CFO's Room Watch report through the email saw this chart, and obviously it broke over the critical entry point, the actual official breakout entry point of 126, with good volume today as well. It almost, well, it did actually. It had a nice little uptick over the average daily volume of 2.31 million, and it ended up closing at 2.34 million for the volume. So this is a nice volume-backed breakout out of this massive descending resistance trendline and over my 126 whole number resistance level that was actually the confirmed breakout entry point that I showed to my readers last night. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, make sure you guys show me some likes down below, or you guys can just do that reaction on the chat room there. Okay, so yeah, there you go. I see it. I see you guys hitting that like button. Hey, do nothing. What's up? Yeah, thank you for the gold emojis again. You're always putting that gold emoji. So yeah, so with that being said, okay, I really think that Baidu really just has that strength to lead the other Chinese tech stocks that have been lagging. For example, today, like BABA, which is now a great segue into BABA. So again, BABA was one of the few Chinese tech stocks out there that were truly lagging, right? Yes, there's a lot of volume because again, the overall Chinese tickers saw massive volume overnight as it pushed lower, and they opened up with a lot of volume as well. And on top of that, we have to include today's volume, right? But Alibaba was definitely weak in the fact that, well, the bulls and the buyers just didn't really show up for the stock, right? And again, the overall technical chart is kind of weak. It's in a daily downtrend. It's below all of my daily SMAs, the short-term SMAs that really matter for a nice trend change on the daily time frame here. So again, it's below my daily 10, this red line, and daily 21, this light blue line. But thankfully, like with most of the other leading mega cap Chinese tickers, they're still above their daily 200 SMAs, like BABA here, right? Like BIDU, like FUTU, right? FUTU, right? So again, oops. All right, BABA. This one, there needs to be a lot more time. I actually featured this one, hi bye 007, if you're still here, in the CFO Stream Watch report back in, I believe it was the first week of December or the last week of November, but I'm pretty sure I featured it after post earnings, so it has to be the first week of December here. Yeah, so we're taking a look at this from a weekly time frame, and again, on the weekly perspective, doesn't look too bad, but there is a bit of a warning sign here, because if the bulls do not try to bring the price back up over key levels, at least over 150, this bearish crossover on the weekly 10 and the weekly 21 SMA is bound to happen and occur by the end of this week, right? Especially if the bulls do not show up for BABA and with enough buying volume as well. Okay, so again, BABA, the overall long-term structure is holding. We had that golden cross, right, at the daily, the weekly 50 SMA over the weekly 200 right here. Let me move the arrow, right, and again, this arrow was indicating the breakout that we were looking out for on BABA back in late August. So if anyone caught that, thanks to the CFO Stream Watch report or from the private CFO Discord community, hats off to you guys, right? I pointed this out early on. So this overall chart pattern. So hopefully this chart pattern also ends up in that same way, but again, the overall technical indicators and just the overall price action is not really showing up too much as a bullish pattern here. So you guys might want to watch out and might want to be a bit more selective with your watch list of Chinese tickers as we head into the end of this year and into the first quarter of 2026. Again, why am I saying that for the end of the year and for the first quarter of 2026? Well, make sure you guys read the description box down below, and also, again, that little on and off relationship when it comes to US equity markets and Chinese equity markets as well. Okay, again, there's no direct inverse relationship, there's no causal relationship as well, but again, from time to time we see that kind of inverse price action and volume and momentum between those two markets. Okay, so BABA, again, nice looking chart. My alert, as you guys can see here on TradingView, right, is still at 161. Right, this is the whole number level, resistance level that I need to see for a confirmed trend change to the upside and a nice official breakout point out of this consolidation that we've been seeing for most Chinese tech stocks that follow the overall Chinese markets since late September and the beginning of this last quarter of this year. Okay, so I'm still waiting on this one. Very, very, very simple analysis for BABA, right? We're just looking at the technical and perspective. But now that brings me into the last ticker for tonight, which is JD, right? So again, BABA and JD, probably the most notorious tickers when it comes to talking about Chinese tech stocks, right? Because both of these two tech stocks are always talked about in a very undervalued manner, and the truth is they are severely undervalued, especially JD.com, right? So this is, again, they're both competitors, Alibaba and JD.com, but JD.com has been making itself into its own, I guess, company. They're trying to make sure that they stick out amongst the many competitors out there, like the major competitor like Alibaba, right? But JD really has just been undervalued from a fundamental perspective as well. And I kind of want to go into that too, not just from a technical perspective, since technically JD really isn't too much to talk about. I mean, there really isn't much to talk about here, but overall, JD, when it comes to from a P&E ratio, right? It's simply using that P&E metric, it is severely undervalued. If you just take a look at any forward metric too, all the numbers there, you can clearly tell that if you just compare it to the current valuation and the market cap of JD, and compare it to those forward-looking metrics, it's severely undervalued. But again, I think there has been a undervalued trap, if that even makes sense, with JD, and people have been shouting since I think like 2022 or 2023 that JD is undervalued. But guess what has occurred for the last 3 years for the stock? It hasn't gone anywhere. So I think when it comes to being, again, very, very specific and being eclectic with your Chinese tickers, it's just a matter of not only focusing on an issue of undervaluedness, right? But focusing on actual technical charts too, which is the reason why I think our choice here this week, BIDU, was great so far. And BIDU definitely has that opportunity here to become that leading Chinese tech mega cap stock, and can lead the overall breakout that we should be seeing as we start to see this overall rally expanding towards international stocks and into the first quarter of next year. Okay, so again, we may or may not see the continuation of that inverse or causal, well, again, not really an inverse relationship and not really a causal relationship there, but again, at some points, at certain times, we tend to see that direct, well, not direct, but that inverse price action relationship occur between US and Chinese equity markets. Okay? Does it make sense, guys? Oh, there's a lot of you guys here tonight. Welcome, welcome. Make sure you guys drop down a like down below. Really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Alright, so again, this is the critical information that I've been trying to give you guys tonight, and hopefully you guys remember. But again, if you guys don't remember, make sure you guys just go back to the replay of the stream, which will automatically be uploaded once this stream is over. Alright, and again, make sure you guys read the description boxes of every single stream that I've done, or whenever I do stream, or whenever I do upload a new video. There's always a bunch of additional information that you guys can always find that can answer more of your questions that you may or may not have. All right. So again, if you guys are looking to join, if you guys are wondering where to join, just look at the second link down below in every single YouTube video that I have on the Charts Focus 1 channel. And you guys can see that there's a link to join the CFO Swing Watch report, which will, again, if you guys become a reader of the report, you guys will automatically gain access to the private CFO Discord community, where you guys get 2 things for the price of 1, right? So again, for BIDU, or actually, before I move on to that, and again, depending on what tiers you choose, you guys can get a bunch of other things just for the price of 1 too. All right, so again, just check out every single tier that I have on that link. The ball's in your court from that point forward. There are 4 official tiers, but there's also a 5th tier. Yeah, so there's 4 tiers, and there's also a 5th tier that you guys can choose from. That is the trial period that you guys can try out for 2 weeks. And you know, once the 2-week trial is over, well, you guys can, and if you guys enjoyed, if you guys learned something, if you guys enjoyed your time in the CFO Discord, or if you guys enjoyed what you guys learned from the reports, the weekly reports that are sent out every single Sunday night, you guys can officially join us by choosing one of the 4 tiers. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it for tonight's stream. All right, I am back on my regular schedule, so I'll be at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, this is the time that I chose because it seems like this is when people are mostly able to join, and they're able to have some free time to join. I know a lot of East Coast people are watching now too, but you know, hopefully you guys are able to join us on every single live stream. But again, as a quick reminder, I am live on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that being said, I will see you guys on Wednesday at the same time. And hopefully this information is helpful for tomorrow and for the rest of this very, very short trading week. And yeah, good luck, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great rest of your night.